I often remember this wonderful elder, Brother David Stendhal Ross, who equates gratefulness with joy. And I feel a lot of joy about us being able to open our temple doors this wide at this time. We have actually kind of prevented this number of people on our temple grounds even since the formal pandemic ended, just because we want to keep the environment very cool and peaceful. But there was such a press of people who felt, particularly this week, but could feel the rising of complexity, who wanted to join, that we opened our temple doors wider. And in doing so, I want to thank the residents in particular. Their practice, their support of you being here and us being able to teach, the gravity and joy that they bring together into this place really makes it possible for us to keep our temple doors, virtual and on-site, open every single day. So deep love to the residents. And to the staff, who we have a slim staff. We're very thrifty in a way. And there are many hands and eyes in just one person. So my gratitude to the staff. And a special gratitude, needless to say, to Valerie, Terry, Rebecca, and Christiana, whose daughter is having a baby as we're speaking. So that is why she is not here. She is giving birth. It's a time of change, but also that these extraordinary teachers and also feelers into what is happening in our lives today have made it possible for their lives to open up, that they can come here and be with us. And so thank you so much, my dear sisters over there. And you all, hundreds of people online, and 60, 70 people on site, which is more than our maximum. I know it's a big step to come. There's always the risk of COVID or another respiratory, et cetera, befalling us. And so I appreciate so much you taking care in your travels here. Also taking the time, and also understanding that we're not entirely equipped to host this many people. So it's being patient with our structure. So you are fed and housed and so forth. And also the tech for this particular gathering is a little more complicated than we've ever handled before. So my online brothers and sisters, thank you for being patient. If we're over 1,000 because of Zoom, we wanted Zoom to be live and to have you all, on face, so to speak. We didn't want to do a webinar, which would just have the faculty. So YouTube and Valerie and Wendy Dynan Lau will be on chat and talking with you and interfacing on the YouTube side and the Zoom side of the equation. So it's a dance always. But I thank you for giving the time. And so those of you who are here understand, but also online, that the recordings are immediately put up on the resource page so that you can access, within a very short period of time, if you want to watch or you've missed a session and you want to access quickly. And I just thank Kodo Rowan for the magic touch. Bonnie and Manny are also, back there working the technology, but it's kind of one of the great gifts is to have our director be so tech savvy that we can actually reach thousands of people. And now actually our podcasts and Zooms have now reached millions of people because of the dedication of our wonderful Kodo and staff in making it possible. For us, and I think for many people, Upaya is a refuge. It's a busy and stirring and confounding time in our lives, in our world, in our cities, in our villages, in our remote areas. And I feel so grateful that we have somehow been able to foster trees and pollinator meadows and practice and feeding the unsheltered and working in the prison system and this, making it possible for us to come together as a community. Because now, more than ever, solidarity, connection, what Alison Pugh has called connective labor, warm hand to warm hand, even if it's via Zoom and YouTube, but also meeting each other in a transparent, unfiltered way as we explore what it is to open a path forward in an Orwellian world, to refer to Rebecca's extraordinary book, Orwell's Roses. And right now we're in the company of roses, if you will, because this is what Orwell did to restore and resource himself. And we also know that the times for many individuals and also for many species is extraordinarily fraught, puzzling, uncertain, confounding, and inviting us to uphold our values and to send our voice and to engage in awakened action, which is the theme of our time together. Little did we know when Terry and Valerie, Christiana, Rebecca and I were speaking about this post-election time, that awakened action would be so extraordinarily important in so many ways. So a breath, knowing that the schedule, like the itinerary, is subject to reality. That we have our placeholders and time frames, and we will try to stay within the structure. But we also know that it's so rare to be able to be this intimate with Terry, Rebecca, Valerie, and also, as I said, Christiana will just be giving a pre-recorded talk just before the birth of the baby. So, but is probably tuning in. And also our beloved Joanna Macy, 94, is at 95 now, is online with us. And I just want to uphold Jimmy Carter as well. Dang, he voted. Talk about commitment and determination. Do not let the complaints that are so common stand in the way of awakened action. Indeed. A breath. That which sows our atmosphere into the body, mind weaving through the medium of the breath. So, my dear friends, strangely enough, over this past period, I've been studying, well, maybe it's not so strange. It's because our practice period, I was in Asia for it, but Monshin and Shinzan and others co-led the practice period on the golden age of Zen. But actually the background of the golden age of Zen was very violent, particularly at the apex of the golden age of Zen. In 755, what unfolded in the Tang Dynasty was a rebellion called the Anlushan Rebellion, a rebellion against the emperor, against the state, so to speak, that spiraled into armies of violence marching across the landscape of China. 2 out of 3 people died over a period lasting from 755 to 763. We're talking millions dying of famine, of pestilence, of sickness, of war. 2 out of 3. This festering in the midst of the Tang Dynasty, the golden age of Zen, but also the most extraordinary culture of China, is really powerful to contemplate. And in fact, it would be many centuries before China would recover. And in this time, great teachers arose out of this pestilent landscape. Poets arose. Visionaries arose. It wasn't as though across the land there was a devastation that extinguished light completely. In fact, some lights burned more brightly and are burning today, in this place, in fact. Found in collections of poetry, in koan collections, in histories, in words that really speak to all of us in various ways. And in this time, a functionary, but also a poet named Du Fu escaped to the city of Chang'an, and there he was unable to leave, and he was physically very diminished and exhausted. And he wrote an extraordinary poem, I think maybe about 9 lines. And the first 2 lines really caught my attention. The nation is shattered. Mountains and rivers remain. The nation is shattered. Mountains and rivers remain. Now, Rebecca and I had an exchange on social media. She said, wait a minute, Roshi. Don't you know our rivers are imperiled? Don't you know our mountaintops are going away? But actually, the term mountains and rivers refers to something, it is a metaphor pointing to an enduring landscape. Because Rebecca was right, mountains and rivers are not remaining, except the Klamath, where salmon are returning. The Klamath River. The nation is shattered, mountains and rivers remain. Mountains, these are this quality of mind that is upright, bringing heaven and earth together. How upright can we be at this time? And rivers in the flow of change. How do we invite ourselves to live in this flow of constant uncertainty while we are trying to actually fix things in time and space in order to feel secure and safe? The nation is shattered. Mountains and rivers remain. So in our lives, everything is broken in one way or another. And there is another aspect, which is, Thich Nhat Hanh said it so wonderfully, a cloud never dies. 2 weeks ago, or whenever I came back from Asia, I was so exhausted, I fell and I shattered. But here I am. How can we actually understand that shattering and showing up, being a mountain and a river? How can we actualize this sensibility undivided in our lives? It's a great calling right now. This is what Valerie and Terry and Rebecca and I are called to explore with us in this time. How do we touch and open ourselves to be touched by suffering and not fully collapse under the weight of it all? And asking myself, asking yourself, how do I offer presence in the grip of suffering, in the grip of pain, in the grip of loss, but also in the grip of possibility? And in a way, we are called to come alongside that which is brittle and broken. And to, at the same time, plumb ourselves in not like the bathroom or the shower, but our depths, if you will. To really go deep into our underground and to pull forth our natural wisdom. To pull forth what Rebecca and Valerie and I, and also Christiana, have written about so often, hope, wise hope. To pull forth joy in the midst. To actualize openness in the midst. How? And that is one of the pieces that we want to explore, and why we are weaving practice throughout, because as some of us old hands who have been in this work of connective labor, Alison Pugh, of serving others, warm hand to warm hand, coming alongside, suffering. I think about Cynthia, you going to fraught landscapes and bringing your earth treasure vases, of us going to the prison systems, of us coming alongside dying people, of Rebecca's work and Terry's work in relation to our fraught environment, of Valerie's work around issues related to racial and social justice. How do we bring ourselves forward in such a way that our presence is fundamentally unfiltered, not emanating some kind of goodness in the quotes, but being authentic and genuine, and to have faith in that moment as it is. So I want to thank my beloved teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, for being so generous in his teachings. And also Glassman Roshi, kind of my last teacher with whom I practiced for over 20 years. And I remember sitting across a table from Bernie, whom I had met in the 70s, and over the years, in the 80s, we'd crossed paths many times. But it was in the mid-90s, we were sitting across a table at some reception, and he was talking about leaving Grayston, this sort of mansion Zen center on the Hudson, going with a small number of his close people to the Capitol in January, and sitting, bearing witness on the steps of our Capitol in the freezing cold, realizing that he had to actually get out of the frame of conventional Zen and conventional society. It was an imperative that he and Jishu and that community resource itself from a different place. That old world that he had worked so hard to build had to be let go of. And in the process of that time of a bearing witness retreat at our Capitol, he and Jishu and Eve and others came up with what are called the 3 tenets. And he shared those with me across the table, and I was like, wow, exactly. This is exactly in order for me to sit with a dying person or to work on death row as a volunteer, which I did for 6 years. I really need to actualize those tenets as my guide, as a kind of lamp for myself. And the first tenet is not knowing. And that's really hard for us as Western people. We are just coming from knowing like crazy. Our identities are so wrapped up in what we know. And what is so powerful is to actually begin to let go of the frameworks that have made us feel secure, and to open ourselves to the truth of radical uncertainty. I think Suzuki Roshi would call it beginner's mind. In the Vimalakirti Sutra, Bob translated it as a tolerance for the inconceivable. Boy, today is kind of inconceivable for me. I never thought, as I read the news, a tolerance for the inconceivable. How can I actually drop beneath my fears and expectations to a place of radical openness and curiosity that allows me to look deeply past the structures that have made me feel safe to a place where I can be surprised? Does this make sense to you? Yeah? Wow. And it's so much to deconstruct, honestly, because our frameworks are so precious to us. Whether you're a physicist, a doctor, a lawyer, or a farmer, those frameworks give us a sense of groundedness. But actually, we're in a world that is fundamentally groundless. There's nothing that we can count on, finally. And it is a powerful place to open to. And the second tenet is of of bearing witness. That is our capacity in an unfiltered way to connect with things just as they are. And there's a line from the Denkuroku by Zen Master Keizan, who came a bit after Eihei Dogen, that always piqued me. It was like such a cool thing to say in the late 13th century. Keizan said, and it's annoying, do not find fault with the present. And what Keizan means is quite interesting, or I think this is what he means. The present is just as it is. That's what we're to actually bear witness to, not separate from the truth of that just as it is. It's not to say that we don't hold structures or individuals accountable, but to be in the experience of bearing witness means that we are, as compassion is, completely connected to things just as they are, not separating from them with frames of reference. Does that make sense to you? It kind of, do not find fault with the present. This is it. Bearing witness. And out of not knowing, Bernie said, and out of bearing witness arises the third tenet. And I call it awakened action. Awakened action. Based in this fundamental openness, based in this non-dual experience, undividedness from things as they are, a seamless response to whatever is present in this moment in a way that is guided by our character, by our vows, by our atonement, by our commitment to care. The nation is shattered. Mountains and rivers remain. And I actually took two different translations, one by Gary Snyder and one by Waddell, and harvested one line from one and one line from the other. So forgive me for sort of crafting what I think is a powerful image for us to sit with during this time. So I'm going to invite us to allow ourselves to put down our notebooks and computers. Well, keep your computer open, my Zoom and YouTube family. Keep yours open, but everyone else, let's just take some moments to do some practice before we complete this session. And I wish all of you online could be here in this room. And I wish that also so much of what happens on our computer screens is so unhealthy. And I hope that this will be a resource for you, friends, online. As the pixels flower in and out in this time. So I'm going to invite us to bring our attention to our breath. And to find also a posture that exemplifies the quality of heart and mind that we're endeavoring to cultivate to meet the world today. And maybe feet on the floor, the sensation of our feet on the floor or our sits bones on the cushion or the chair. Even in this groundless reality, cultivating a sense of internal groundedness that is open, quality of stability, of rootedness. Your stability, my stability are so important at this time. And let your attention just rest on the physical sensation of your feet on the floor or your sits bones on your cushion or chair. Just allow that somewhat neutral experience to be a small resource for you in this moment. And as the moments are passing, allow the attention, your attention, to shift to the experience of breath in the body. If you're comfortable with that. And maybe if it's comfortable, noticing the sensation of the inhale and the exhale. If you will, letting the breath be deep in the body. And see if you can let the shoulders soften. Again, using this time, this moment, to resource yourself. Just this. And as you're gathering your attention, there's a kind of natural releasing for some of us of internal and external distractions. And for some, not yet. And again, a deep breath in the body, a dropping of the shoulders, a settling of the posture, coming home, if you will, to this body. And allow yourself to notice your spine, this sense of uprightness, and see if that sensibility of uprightness can be accompanied by flexibility. Balance. Your capacity for equanimity, which is not a kind of neutralizing process, but rather an experience where we care for all beings equally. And breath deep in the body. And perhaps the sense of groundedness and uprightness. Our capacity or potential capacity to uphold ourselves in the midst of any situation. And allowing ourselves to shift our attention to the front part of our body. Let the breath be deep in the body and see if you can sense into this quality of openness. Of tenderness that is accompanied by quality of strength that the back is exemplifying. Of our experience of being transparent, open to the world and to things open to us. And noticing whatever is arising, not pushing away, not clinging if possible. And if you wish, coming back to the breath, a kind of anchor with strong back, soft front. And as this sensibility of presence is settling in, take a few moments to recall really why you're here. To touch into what Suzuki Roshi called your innermost request. This vow that so many of us have taken in this room, but probably everyone who is gathered here, this vow to be a benefit to all beings, bar none. The sense of being grounded. The strength of our back, the openness of the front part of our body. And remembering really why we're here. And breath deep in the body. And along with this vow, to be of benefit to others. This practice is not simply about resourcing ourselves, improving ourselves, but inviting ourselves to open deeply to who we really are. Not separate from any being or thing. And whatever little moment of peace, of well-being that you might have experienced or that I have experienced, going back to what it is to touch into our fundamental generosity of heart. To send to others who are struggling now, even the ones who are really difficult, causing harm. May those in particular come to genuine peace. Ease, insight. The nation is shattered. Mountains and rivers remain. So thank you for your practice. Before we conclude this session, which we will with the 4 vows of the Bodhisattva, which many of us know already, and you'll be hearing it often, so you'll catch it soon enough. But it's only to say that in this time that we have together, what I hope we'll do as friends and as a community is to use what we're learning and to let ourselves experience deeply the exhales that come along as a way to make this experience that our wonderful awakened action sisters, and there, of course, many brothers as well, are endeavoring to, open up in their lives and for all of us. I'm really aware of how much many of you are caring at this time, both in terms of your work coming alongside others who are incredibly fraught, or bringing teaching into the world, or I look at Cezanne taking registrations and figuring out beds. Everybody counts in the different ways that we are actualizing our path in service to others. And so as we prepare to chant the 4 vows, I invite us to bring this sensibility as we transition over a beautiful stone bridge into our dining area, and to see if you can hold, if you will, in an open way, the kind of spirit of the practice that is kind of challenging to open with in the first evening, because some of you just got off airplanes and shuttles, and it's like, And some of you, one person arrived at midnight last night, and I was having a little pain dance with my little wing. Nice little wing. And I looked at my computer, bad girl, and I saw, then I wrote, I said, it's okay, just let me know if you get to your room. So in the tiniest little gestures, really, it's this spirit of what can we do to actually ease the way for any being in any moment. And so as we move through the next few days, to bring that kind of sensibility forward. Are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. So those of you might not know, those are the 4 vows of the Bodhisattva that were crafted by Chi, one of the founders of the Tendai community, also founded during the Tang Dynasty. Very few people know that, but I'm just letting you know, because it's kind of we all chant those vows merrily along, and actually their sources in the vision of an extraordinary monk scholar in the Tang Dynasty who took the 4 Noble Truths and kind of ran them through his heart, and the vision of what it is to be a bodhisattva. And here we chant them today, hundreds and hundreds of years later. May we embody them. So Toss, do you want to? Okay.
We can all stand and bow together in gratitude.
If your legs are under you, if not, it's okay. Take your time. And online bodhisattvas, thank you so much. And Tals will make a few announcements for on-site people. Our online friends will be returning at 7:45 with Terry and Valerie and Rebecca and me. And in the meantime, our faculty will transition.
Thank you, Roshi.
Oh, hey.
So we will let our teachers exit first so they can go have dinner together. And how we will exit for dinner is if you're sitting on this side over here to this is my right, when you grab your shoes, if you can exit Taizondo and go to the front of River House, we have 2 tables set up for serving. So we'll have you go through the front. And then if